Hello, this is the Gender Dysphoria clinical presentation done by myself, April Millis, and Leela Flannery. A basic introduction to what gender dysphoria is that it's a clinically applied diagnosis in the DSM-5 to individuals who identify as transgender or gender nonconforming. In this presentation, we are going to focus more on the specific criteria of the diagnosis, along with several educational resources to aid fellow social workers in learning about this disorder. The following websites are excellent national educational web resources that cover important information surrounding gender dysphoria. The first is from the National Health Service website in the United Kingdom, giving an excellent overview of gender dysphoria, covering what is gender dysphoria to how common is gender dysphoria. Next is the Trevor Project, which is a leading national organization providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention services to the LGBTQ young people under 25. Next is the Trans Lifeline, which is a grassroots hotline and nonprofit organization funded by microgrants, offering direct emotional and financial support to any and all trans people in crisis. The hotline was and still is the only service in the country in which all operators are transgender. Next is the National Center for Transgender Equality. They are an organization that works at the local, state, and federal levels to change laws and policies and advocate for society to increase the understanding and acceptance of transgender people. They work to replace disrespect, discrimination, and violence with empathy, opportunity, and justice. A useful article to learn more about the nuances regarding the controversy around the gender dysphoria diagnosis in the DSM-5 is Gender Dysphoria: 2 Steps Forward, 1 Step Back. A very brief version of this summary is that transgender and gender nonconforming people suffer significant bias and prejudice and are often denied basic civil justice because of decades of stigma and stereotypes that the DSM had a hand in creating. Although we've come a very long way from the tireless work of LGBTQ activists, the idea that an individual who expresses a gender identity different from their assigned gender is still considered someone who is disordered and mentally ill via the gender dysphoria diagnosis. Even though the distress of a person whose gender identity differs from their assigned gender is clinically significant, that there remains a diagnosis for it in the DSM-5 means that there is still greater work that needs to be done for the transgender and gender nonconforming community. In the following link, this covers the story of an individual who lives with gender dysphoria that's featured on the National Health Service website underneath all the information about gender dysphoria. If you follow the link, you can find out more information about them. Now, Leela will explain more of the DSM-5 criteria about gender dysphoria, its prevalence, differential diagnoses, comorbidity, and other great information.